Oh, we changed the thing. Okay. Excuse me. Okay, looks like we are streaming live.
What's up, y'all?
Yep, we are live. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate all of you and all of your time. Thank you for coming to just sit and listen to all the goodness and the beautiful things that Latasha and I are going to share. So today's topic is, we talked about depression last week, so we kind of want to go on with that and take it even deeper and talk about suicide, because a lot of people, don't want to talk about it, for one. I said another thing is people don't know, about how prevalent it is in our society. So Latasha and I are going to share some things, and we hope that you get a lot out of it. And also, make sure that you're following us on the socials everywhere that we are, which is everywhere. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. What's the other one? Twitter.
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn. I was going to say MySpace, but no, that's gone.
YouTube.
YouTube, all the places. So you can find us in all the places. So Latasha's gonna start, and we'll just go from there. And if you have any questions, make sure that you put them down in the comments. Now, we may or may not be able to see them now, but we will go back and look at them when we're done. All right. So Latasha.
Yeah. Happy Friday, everybody. I'm so glad that you are here. My name is Latasha, and I'm an author, teacher, book coach. And one of the things that I've noticed is people in the world, with social media, I've noticed that people have mixed emotions and reactions when they hear about suicide, right? Let's just talk about celebrities. People have a very limited idea on what it is that would drive somebody to kill themselves. Okay. That I want to give you guys a glimpse into my reality, because I have had suicidal ideations multiple times throughout my life. I was diagnosed with bipolar in 2007. Got on medication in about 2009 and been on medication ever since. That's a part of my lifestyle management, is medication, diet, exercise, prayer, meditation, hanging out with my social group, staying connected to people, making sure that I don't isolate, because that's a temptation. Yeah. But what I really want to do is educate people today.
Yeah.
Because the reactions, I just look at reactions, and one reaction is people who are super judgmental. Like, why would that person commit suicide? Like, they had everything to live for. Like, that response to me is so judgmental.
Yes, it is.
It's so insensitive, and I really don't like it. The other response seems to be on the other side of the spectrum, where the person says, "Oh my gosh, that was a shock. What happened?" As though these things just happen out of the blue, like spontaneous combustion. It doesn't.
Of course they do. They happen in a vacuum.
There's always signs.
People right? Just say, "Oh, you know what? I think I'm gonna jump off a building today."
Right. Doesn't happen like that.
Right. There are always signs, and there are always, there are always people that are asking for help. That really is what that is. It's a cry for help. And a lot of times when it culminates, it's because nobody has answered the cry.
Yes.
Nobody answered it. They were crying for help. They were trying to get someone's attention so that they could get some help. And people weren't there. They were either ignoring, or they just didn't see it, because, you don't have to be trained to see it. You don't.
Yeah.
You don't. Because people will tell you. It's like I had a patient one time. I worked in mental health, and he just started giving his stuff away. It was a mental health, it was a mental health prison.
Yeah.
And so we had people that were guilty by what do they call it? NGRI, not guilty by reason of insanity. So we had a lot of people in there that fit that description, that definition. And so this gentleman was that. He actually had I'm gonna tell his story because he's dead anyway. But he and his wife and his son actually were in a shootout with the police. Yeah, on his property because they were trying to take his property by eminent domain.
Ooh.
And he had come down south. This was down south. He'd come down south from New Hampshire or one of those cold states up north. And and they were trying to take his property by eminent domain. Now, you know, when they do that, they don't just all of a sudden immediately start taking property and things like that.
Yeah, it's a process.
It's a process, right? So they knew that this was happening. So what they did was they got their guns and stuff. And when the feds and the police and everybody came out to the house, they started shooting. And so they killed somebody. I don't know if it was one person they killed or not, because they put all of them in prison. The wife, the son, and him. I think the son, I believe they killed him. I think they killed him. Like he got the death penalty. And the wife, I think she ended up dying. I think she died in prison. Yeah, pretty sure she died in prison. And so he started giving all his shit away, like just all kinds of stuff. And he had money too. That was the shit. Because there was one time when he came, he bought a car and they brought it to him at the facility. Yeah, on the phone. Yeah. But anyway, so he started giving away stuff. You know, he started giving away stuff. And my CNA noticed it. She was like, he's not acting right. Because he never was like disrespectful or anything, and he wasn't crazy, but he just, you know, was playing those games so he could beat that system so he didn't have to be in prison. Because he started freaking out in prison, and that's how we got him. And so so anyway, he was there and he was doing good and everything. And the next thing you know, he just started giving the shit, just giving shit away. I mean, stuff that meant stuff to him, you know, which was, you know. And so I started talking to the provider. I was telling the doctor that was there, the psychiatrist and stuff. I said, listen, y'all need to check him because he's not right. Now I work night shift, so I didn't always get to see them, but I would leave notes. And then I would tell the person that I relieved to tell them because they would see the doctors, you know. And so apparently they didn't think that we were serious, because not only did we notice, but they noticed on the other shift too, because we all talked about it. And we were like, he's not acting right. You know, he's not acting like himself. And I said, and you know, he's giving away his stuff to different ones of the inmates and stuff. And so they were like, oh yeah, he actually ended up hanging himself when they went on an outing. You know, and the signs were there. Like I said, he wasn't acting like him because he was a nice guy. He really was a nice guy. I didn't even know the story about him because I typically try not to know their stories, especially if they do crazy stuff. But his story, of course, was, you know, in the paper, on the news and all that stuff. And I didn't see it there, but somebody pulled it up for me. And so I was like, okay. So then I could kind of see, you know, why he was like he was. But I think by the time he did that, I think his son had already gotten killed. They executed him. The wife, I think she had died. And so I felt like he just didn't have anything else to live for. And plus he was stuck in that place. You know, and he was a smart man too. Like he had a business mindset. So I would talk to him sometimes about business and stuff like that. You know, because a lot of times people they discount those people because they're in those facilities, but they still had lives before they got there.
Yeah.
And so many of them weren't even, I would say probably about 50% of them weren't really crazy. They just were able to beat those charges. Because of course he didn't look like us. But yeah, but that was just an example of, you know, where I saw that suicide was coming. You know, but nobody heeded the call. You know, he was crying out. He was giving his shit away, and he would say different things like basically like, I'm not gonna be here. soon.
Mm.
Like next week. Like somebody would say, well, they're having such and such a thing, because they would have people come through and, do things, and they would give stuff to the inmates and stuff. You know how they do like parties and different things or
Yeah.
whatever. So we were like, okay, well, so and so is coming through, sponsors and stuff. They would be like, so and so is going to come through and blah blah blah, and they're going to have a party for you guys and this, that, and the third. And he would say something like, yeah, I'm not going to make that. I mean, serious. So, like I said, we would tell, but there wasn't a whole lot we could do, you know.
Yeah. So this is the
Fortunately.
reason why I wanted to bring this up, because last week we were talking about postpartum depression.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to talk about, what people can do if they see someone who's struggling and they
Yeah.
see someone who they are concerned about. I gave last week, we talked about that number 988. That's the national suicide line. So if anybody needs support right now, I mean, if I've triggered a thought and somebody's face has popped up into your mind, you might want to reach out to 988 so that you can get some
Yes.
support for your friend, your family member, your coworker, whoever it is. It could be somebody that you just met last week, and you just kind of feel like, wow, that person's having a hard time. I want to give you some tools on here, because a lot of times if we don't know what we don't know.
No, we don't.
But when we know better, we can do better. And so
Yes.
if you're one of those people that is super judgmental when you hear of somebody committing suicide, like, why would they do that? That's so stupid. I've even heard people say, that's so stupid. Like, think about the words that come out of your mouth when you say things, because a lot of times there's some people walking around here that are just one thought away.
Yep. Lots of people.
Okay, just one thought away. So
Especially
I
now
want
that
to
people are losing
share.
their houses, right?
Mhm. I really wanted to put myself out there and share with you guys some of the things that I've been through, because I consider myself to be a very happy woman, a blessed woman, a very talented, smart, ambitious woman. However, behind my smile, there's a lot going on. And
Right.
there's so much going on in my head that sometimes I have to reach out to people and just say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Give me your feedback.
Yeah. And see, and that's important too, because a lot of people don't do that. And you have a lot of people that actually, like we've seen a lot of stars in this last couple of years that just killed them, young people.
Mm-hmm.
It just kill themselves. Like that girl, my heart still hurt for that girl, Chesley. I mean, 30 years old, and you're like, my God. And people say, oh, well, she was on top of the world. Well, apparently she was, until she stepped off it. But the thing is, it's like, where were the people? Because she had people, so many people around her. Where were the people that were actually looking at her? Because I think a part of it is also, look at me, I'm not being seen.
Yeah.
And so where were the people that were in her, in her area, in her circle, in her network, that were looking at her and listening to what the hell she was saying? Because she had to be saying something. Now, many times when people actually get ready to do it, they don't say anything.
Right.
But
I
there
was
were
going to say
times
that.
before.
Yeah. I was going to
But
say that because
when you
some
get
of,
ready to do it, no, they don't do it.
some of us hide, and I'm saying us because I'm including myself. Some of us hide and isolate. And it's only been recent in the past 5 years that I've learned how to reach out and ask people and be vocal and stop worrying about pride, ego,
Right. And what
and
people think.
shame, guilt, embarrassment. Like, I've been through so much therapy. I have completely worked through shame, guilt, embarrassment for asking for help. Like, that to me, if I'm struggling now, my habit is to raise both hands. First of all, say, God, please help me. And then what'll happen is God will send somebody into my mind and he'll say, call so-and-so, call Tammi. See if Tammi can give you some feedbacks. And I pick up my phone, I call Tammi. Tammi, did you freeze?
No?
Oh, I thought you were frozen. I'm like, where's Tammi? God said, call Tammi. She ain't available.
I was listening. I was listening.
You were listening. I
I
thought
went
you
out.
froze.
No.
You were so still, like.
I all of a sudden I looked up and I seen this email come through, and it was one I was kind of waiting on. And so I
Oh,
was like, okay, what are they telling me to do?
where's Tammi?
Like, look,
That
Earth
was
to Tammy.
funny.
My husband would
That
say,
was funny.
squirrel.
That was funny because at the exact moment when I said I will call Tammi, you were like, I'm like, wait, where's Tammi?
Where'd she go? She left the building. No, my husband would say, squirrel.
That's funny. Yeah, but that's one of the things, I have learned to do is ask for help. And a lot of times
Yeah.
people who are struggling, first of all, not a lot of people are going to straight up be like, I was diagnosed with bipolar. Not a lot of people going to say that. And
Even though it's a lot of people.
Yeah. And even people who are undiagnosed, they know something's going on. So for me, here's where I live. This is what I just talked to my therapist about yesterday. I live in the either high, or the low. Those are I'm like a light switch. Those are the two switches. That's what sent me in to talk to somebody about it, because I was either super happy, or pissed. Like there was no in between. So the medication, now that I'm on my medication, it keeps me in somewhere in the middle, right? Because you never want to be all the way up here. You never want to be all the way down here. You want to be consistently emotionally stable. And that's what the medication does. That's what the therapy does, the diet and the
Is that it helps
exercise.
you.
Oh my God. It's
And
a
you can
huge
tell.
difference. Huge
Because
difference.
that's the thing. So many people get on these things, and it makes such a difference. And they be like, oh my God, I just feel so much better and blah, blah, blah. And then what do? They stop
taking it. I'm good now. I feel good.
They say, I'm good. I feel good. I'm better now. And you want to say, yeah, because you're taking your stuff. And it's okay. But you know what? There's another piece to this too that I want to bring out, because I know that this happens. The churches.
Church.
Yeah, the church house.
The church folks.
Mm-hmm. They shames people, and they have them with this mindset, because I actually had a young lady when I was going to church doing the nursing ministry. She was epileptic. She didn't like the way the medicine made her feel. Mm-hmm. So sometimes she wouldn't take it.
Yeah.
And so she would come to church and she would have a seizure. Yeah. So I talked to this young lady multiple occasions, because I had that a few times. And I said, you got to stop doing this. I said, you're taking your life in your hand. And she had a child that was special needs.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I felt so bad for her. So anyway, she kept doing this, because she said, I don't like the way the medicine make me feel. I said, but does it keep you from having seizures?
Right, that part.
Because that's the point of it.
That part.
But it just makes me feel so drowsy and I just can't, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, work with the doctors and see if you can change your dosages, or change the way you take it. I said, because sometimes maybe instead of taking it at night, take it in the daytime, or splitting the dosages, instead of taking a whole 800 at once, take 200 every, 4 or 5, 6 hours, whatever. And so I was working with her on that. Well, she died. Young. She was young. Like, I don't think she was 40 by the time she died.
Oh,
and she left that special needs child. Who was a sweet girl, but she was like, I think she had like cerebral palsy or something like that. So she could walk, but she was, like gimped up, But I was like her, I think her mama probably had to take her, but she died. I talked to her so many times about taking her medicine. I actually even offered to talk to her doctor, because I knew her doctor.
Yeah,
And I was like,
wow.
let me talk to your doctor. I said, maybe we can get you, because I would do stuff like that as a part of the nursing ministry.
Mm,
And yeah, she just would not do right.
that's a great, you guys had a nursing ministry in the church?
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Well, it was about 3,000 at that time.
The number of members in the church?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a mega church that I went to. And
And
we had a
what,
nursing ministry. And
how did they react to, like, what was the whole church experience with mental health and medication and stuff like that?
so, that so many of them are pushing, and this is the thing. And I think this is the part that got me about that whole situation. It's like they did have, because we would have fairs and stuff, health fairs and stuff. And they would have people come in and talk about mental health and stuff like that.
Okay,
But
good.
to me, the way they treated it was the same way people treated medicine for other things, even your blood pressure and stuff. Because, they will always say, yes, God can heal anything and all this stuff. But you would have people that would take it on a deep end and just like stop taking their shit. Like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna believe God, I'm gonna trust God. Okay, cool. But is your faith at that level?
Oh,
Is your
yeah.
faith at that level? I mean, to me, if you are a person that you can't fast 2 hours, then your faith is not at that level where
Yeah.
you can stop taking your medicine and believe, God to heal you. Because here's the thing, God works through doctors,
Amen.
so that's something I always tell people. I'm like, God works through doctors. So, you can also listen to them. Now, for me, like, I know my body, and I know certain things my body's not going to do. So I go to the doctor
Yeah.
and see what they say. And then usually I try to find natural stuff, alternatives for me, because I know
Mm,
my body and I know certain things it's just my body don't do. And then
yes.
I know my body, like my body gets used to stuff. So like if I take something, like I'll take, even if I take like melatonin, well, after a while it'll stop working
Yeah.
because my body just does that. And I don't know if everybody's body does that, but I know mine does. And so,
Yeah.
but a lot of people will they'll listen and they'll be like, okay, yeah, God can heal me. Yes, he can. But right now he's going to use these blood pressure pills to help keep your blood pressure in check so
Yes.
that you don't have a damn stroke or heart attack.
Yes.
So that your cholesterol doesn't build up in your heart. And next thing you know, you're having, quadruple bypass and shit.
Yes.
And so it's like that. It's like you know, it's almost like a fine line, and
Mm-hmm.
I went to church when I was growing up where we truly believed that God was a healer, and they wouldn't have to
And
take no medicine.
right. And I
So to
totally
me,
believe,
there's a
yeah,
line.
I totally believe that God can heal us. And I believe that God gives us the power to heal ourselves.
Yes.
And I also believe, I'll take it another step forward, that we have the ability to heal other people.
Yes.
But the thing is, if you need to use something to get you through, then that's what you have to do. For
That's
me,
what you have to do.
it was determined that I have a chemical imbalance in my brain.
Right.
And so the medication helps to balance that. That's not something that I want to focus on healing myself. No, because that's why the medication is there. That's why the doctor is there to help me monitor that. So
Yep.
anybody
And if it's
who's
working for you,
listening,
then you should just
yeah.
continue with it.
Sometimes though, I will say this because it took me probably maybe a year to actually, with the help of the team of my doctors, because I had to see a psychiatrist and a therapist, plus I was in a support group and all kinds of stuff. It took about a year for them to find the perfect mix.
Yeah.
So I'm on 2 medications currently. I take both of them at bedtime, and it works beautifully for me. But that's also in combination with the rest of my lifestyle. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't do too many risky behaviors other than just hanging out with my friends, right? I'm not into any illicit drugs. I'm not into like staying up all night. I get my sleep. I drink my water. I mind my business. So I'm stable because I choose to be, because I choose to follow instructions. But it did take about a year for the doctors to give me the correct medication, because I was on some stuff that had me like this to the point where I couldn't do anything.
See,
So
that's the thing. That's kind of what was going on with this young lady. But I was trying to tell her, you can, there's other things. It's not, it used to only just be one thing you could take, like Dilantin and stuff like that for that. But now there are other medicines, and she was taking some of them. But I said, maybe it's too strong for you. Maybe you need to go and, I tried so many things with that young lady, and it's the same way a lot of times with mental health.
yeah. And
Many
that's
of
the
the same
thing.
ways.
A lot of times people won't, there's so many barriers. Okay. There's so many barriers. There's the pride and the ego, right? And then there's the thing where people think that you don't have any faith. So they judge you. You don't have any faith, so you don't even trust. There's all of that. But the thing is, sometimes it's just having a conversation. So people at that church were very lucky to have a ministry of women who were men and women who were nurses, who could give them some problem solving strategies, some tools. That's what you were giving the young lady. Hey,
Yeah.
how about if you were to do it this way? Maybe that would work for you. How about if you were to try it this way? There's many different options of what you can do. But sometimes when we get into, again, I'm including myself, when we get into depression and we feel sad for no reason, okay? Or when we get into depression because someone close to us just died and there is a reason, right? When we get sink down, go low, 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 we don't even want to have a conversation. So in your mind, when you're so depressed, you don't have any other options other than, I need to end this.
Yeah.
That's where
take care of this.
That's why people start to think about suicide as an option, because they get so low, 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 they don't see any light at the end of the tunnel. All there
Right.
is a tunnel. And you feel buried underneath the weight of life. And your mind says to you, today would be a good day to end this.
Yep.
How do I know? Because
That's
I've
what your
heard
mind
it.
says. Your mind
I've
says,
heard
you know
it.
what? It's
Get
done.
out of this. Get out of this
Just let
suffering.
that
You're
go.
suffering. You're in pain. If you just end this, you
It'll be
won't
over.
have to worry about those bills. You won't have to worry about your health problems. You won't have to worry about that person that's getting on your nerves at work. It'll just be over. You'll be at peace. Everything will be great. See, this is what your mind tells you.
Yes.
When you're talking to yourself.
Yep.
Okay.
It tells you, you know what? You know what, girl? You just took care of it and just took your own self out of here. Everything will be better. You won't have to worry about none of that stuff. Right? And see, these are the things.
I've heard people say, you know what, they would be better off without me.
Yeah, I've
heard people say that too. Like, I'm messing up the family. I'm the inconvenience. And a lot of times it's the black sheep. So that's truly rooted in reality, because they truly are being treated like a problem. And sometimes when you feel like, well, I'm the problem, so what's the solution? If you have a one-track mind and you're not all about problem solving, which doctors and nurses are about. Doctors and nurses are scientists. They see the problem, they form a hypothesis, and they start testing different theories, doing experiments, figuring out what works. That's
because
not what happens
they don't
when
always
you're
know.
depressed.
They don't always know. People got that twisted too. That's why when you go, they say, well, let's try this. Let's try that. And then come see me back in 30 days. And if that doesn't work, then we'll try this, right? So they don't just automatically know that this is going to be the combination for you. And it's wild. It's like that in so many different conditions, because now there's so many different drugs and so many different medicines and stuff out there, not just one thing. Like, I remember when they came out with the 𝐂𝐍𝐉𝐴 for schizophrenia. So now I was a student at the time, and they were doing trials on it. And so we had some patients, and you could tell the difference of them before they started with the 𝐂𝐍𝐉𝐴 and after. Like, they'd be like zombied out before, but afterward they could hold jobs, and they could, have families. They could do all the regular things and stuff, because this drug helped to, stabilize them. And I remember when that thing it had just come out. I was in nursing school, and we had, I got to participate in part of the trial, which was so nice, because we got to see, they actually had film of like the people before. Like, I would have never known that they were zombied out before.
Yeah.
And because at this point now they were having conversations with people, because they wouldn't have conversations or nothing.
Yeah.
And at this point they were starting to have conversations with people, and you actually, talk to them. Like, one guy, he'd come up every time I come in, and he would sit down with me, and we sit down, because that's what we did in that type of, area for school. So we would sit down and talk to him, and that's what we had to do. And we had to write up little papers and stuff or whatever on whatever they shared. And so this guy, he would come and he would sit down and he would talk to me each and every time that I came through. Now, I know now that it was probably, my spirit and my energy that was drawing him. But at that time, I was still young. I was still in my 20s. And I just knew that, he would come and talk to me. And then they showed me the film of him before, and I was like, oh, wow, no wonder. Because I mean, we would have like really good, deep ass conversations and stuff. And he told me, he said, nobody has conversations with me like this. And I said, well, you started it. And he would just laugh.
And that's the thing. This is another barrier. Yeah. We have to feel comfortable, people of color, women. Yes. We have to feel comfortable with our medical professionals, comfortable enough to disclose information that we don't want to, especially about our family history.
We're not.
Right, our family history, our lifestyle choices, because sometimes we don't make the right choices, but we have to find a doctor. I always ask for a female doctor. I usually, they usually pretty much accommodate me, because I like honestly, I like all my doctors to be female, because I want them to understand, my body, what I've been through, my experience. Right. Females just connect with me on that level. So if you're the type of person, I'm talking to anybody who's listening on the podcast, watching this in the replay, if you're the type of person, you got a medical condition, especially mental health, but it could be anything, go to your medical professional, ask for somebody who you're comfortable with, and share with that person on a deep level what you're really going through, because they don't know. They don't know how you feel. They don't know how you're going to react. And honestly, sometimes, and this is going to sound a little bit funny for some of the old school people, sometimes you will be the guinea pig. Okay? Yeah. Sometimes you will need to be vulnerable and lay yourself down as the guinea pig, because guess what? The results that they get from you is going to be impactful for other people. I know as soon as I got my driver's license, I put down organ donor. Yep. Right away. Because when I'm gone, somebody needs to have my organs to science. That's fine with me. I'm gone, right? I'm gone. I don't worry about that stuff. With my diagnosis, I share with people. I used to be afraid that people were going to judge me and stigmatize me, and they did. And I used to be afraid people were going to make fun of me, call me crazy, and they did. Okay. But now I'm like, you know what? No, my story is an example for somebody else.
I was getting ready to say that is for you to teach. That's for you to share, so that people can feel comfortable, because a lot of people have issues about that. They don't feel comfortable, and they're afraid because of all the reasons you just said, because they're afraid of the judgment, afraid that people are going to call them crazy. They're afraid of all kinds of stuff. And we all are in all of our areas, depending on what's going on with us. Mm-hmm. Like right now, I'm wearing this Holter monitor, and it's a neat, different experience. Yeah. But I'm wearing it because I need to, check and make sure that I haven't had a heart attack, or that I'm not having a heart attack, things like that,
We all got something, y'all. We
We
all
all
got
got
something
something.
going
Yeah.
on. Ain't none of us in 100% perfect health. Even
Right.
people you see running marathons. Yeah, there's
No,
people that
because so
run
many of them
marathons,
drop
then they
dead.
collapse.
I
They
was gonna say,
collapse. They did
my
all that training.
my English professor used to run every day, and do you know what he died doing? Running. He was in his 50s. He was one of my best. Oh my God. You know what's wild though? I found out that all of my English professors were dead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, from college. I was like,
Wow.
and they were all so good. I mean, they were good professors, good, really good. I learned a lot from each one of them, and they taught differently. So it was really a good experience. But yeah, they all dead. They're all dead,
Wow.
and they were not that old. Like the one that was running, he was in his 50s. I want to say he was probably somewhere around the age I am now,
Damn.
and he just dropped dead running. I was like,
Man. He might have had some kind of pre-existing condition, or the running could have taken over. We don't know. But everybody has something going on in their medical history
yeah,
or in their current medical condition. And I mean, I
right,
want to talk to the parents for a second and let the parents know, look,
yes,
the world we live in right now, I've raised 3 children. The world we live in is very stressful for children. And the pressure that we put on them to perform, to get good grades, to go to college, to get a good job, those expectations are on top of their own expectations that they have for themselves. And so their pressure and our pressure it becomes a pressure cooker
that's what I
until
was gonna
there's an
say.
explosion.
Yes.
Okay, there's an
Mhm.
explosion.
Boom.
So you see, there's so many young people that are falling into depression nowadays because they just can't measure up.
No, and it's a different time than our time. You know, I saw a lady on TikTok did a video about this, and she said, you know, these kids can't take nothing.
Oh
And
yeah,
how they did for us said, you
yeah,
know, get over it. That's what they told us. Get over it. You got a roof
mhm,
over your head. You got everything that you need,
yeah,
everything that you pretty much everything that you want. So what the hell is the problem? You know,
yeah,
that's the kind of shit they said to us, right?
yes.
She
Suck it
said,
up,
yeah,
Buttercup.
yep. She said, you can't hardly do that with these kids these days. She said, they
Yeah,
just can't take nothing. I said, yeah, it's a different generation,
definitely a different
you know?
generation. And the thing is, we have to talk about it. And for teenagers right now who are having a hard time, you struggling, I tell my kids, if you don't want to talk to me, that's okay. You can talk to someone else. Talk to an adult. Talk to your auntie. Talk to your cousin. Talk to your grandma. Talk to an adult. Talk to a coach. Talk to a teacher. Whoever you feel comfortable with sharing what's on your heart. Talk to somebody, because the worst thing you can ever do is keep these things bottled up inside of you.
Yes, yes.
And then you don't, like, you can't problem solve everything for yourself.
Right.
So you're in danger if you're isolating yourself and you're trying to figure out everything and you start to get overwhelmed and stressed. You're at risk, because that means you're relying on your own brain to solve problems. You can't do that. You have to get with other people who can help you problem solve, because as you start having conversations with people, you're going to learn they've been through the same shit.
So many times you're like, oh, you did that? Because I would have people talking to me about like their marriages and stuff, and that their husband was a cheat and all this stuff. And I would just be sitting there listening to them. And then they look at me like, well, what? I said, honey, it is not that bad. I said, I've been there, done that.
Yes.
I said, you know, I was like, has yours exposed you to AIDS? No? Okay then.
Oh, you're doing way better than me. Yeah.
Right? You're doing good. Girls, just get the fuck away from him before he does, you know. But, you know, and it's wild. I'm like, you know, and people will look at me and they're like, yeah,
And I'm
yeah, I've
like,
been through all of
oh,
that. Yeah, I already know about that. It's okay. Guess what? You can live through it too. You know, you don't have to take yourself out of here because of, you know, that. Just let
Because
that
of
shit
that.
go. You can live through it. I promise
You're
you, you
not
can.
alone.
You're
You're
not
not
alone.
alone.
Yeah,
That's
it's
one
okay.
thing that people feel like they're alone. And then they're like, I just want to die. Like,
Yeah.
you go from, I've had these thoughts now. You go from 0 to 60 real quick because you're in your head and you're trying to problem solve by yourself. And your mind is going to say, let's just do the quickest solution. Let's just do this.
Let's just
And
be done with it.
the quickest solution is never usually right.
And then the thing is there's always that chance that you get like this patient I had. He tried to kill himself and he ended up just fucking himself up. So now he's like 40 some, stuck in a nursing home because he can't take care of himself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so that was his thing, you know, but he was trying to kill himself. So you think you have to kind of consider that, because my thing is, no, I might fuck up and then I'll be, you know, stuck in this body that don't work. You know what I mean? No, not
I
for
know for
me.
me, I'm not that precise. So
Right.
I would be one of them people because I'm kind of clumsy.
Right. You be
I
done
would be
trying to
one of
shoot
those
yourself
people
in the
trying to
head
do it
and miss your brain.
and miss.
Then you just got a big old hole in your head, and your
I'm
mind is
so
all
clumsy.
twisted and fucked up, and you know somebody done stuck your ass in a nursing home because ain't nobody gonna deal with that.
Yes. Ain't
You
nobody
know, so
got time for that.
ain't nobody got time for that. So you think about that, it's like, no. I actually had 2 or 3 patients that were like that. They tried to kill themselves and they just fucked themselves up. So I'm
And y'all,
like,
and you guys might be thinking, you know, this is a serious topic. How come they're laughing about this? Is not funny. You know, life is what you make it. And
yes,
so
it
this
is.
it's a very serious topic. We taking this really seriously
Oh yeah,
because if you don't talk about this, people will continue to feel like they're alone and they'll continue to look at this as the solution. Now, you do have to have a sense of humor though,
you do.
because you can't take everything super serious, or once again you'll put yourself into a state where you will just be so stressed out. Sometimes you do need to find the humor of the situation. Like she said, you know, sometimes people just jack themselves up. That would be me. So I know that about myself. I'm clumsy. So when I start to get low, and I feel stuck, that's my signal. Uh-oh, I feel stuck. Uh-oh, I'm feeling sad. I got these thoughts. I better call someone because I'm relying on myself to solve all the problems of the world, and that's not right. That's the
Because you're
problem.
not that person. You're not supposed to do that.
Exactly. We're supposed to rely on each other. We're supposed to trust each other and have relationships with each other. That's the difference between, it's one of the differences between the human organism and the rest of the organisms around the universe, right? We are able to form relationships and tight bonds with other human beings. We're able to work on teams. We're able to, you know, have intimacy. We're able to connect. You know, we connect and build things like nothing else, right? But when you're alone, you can only build and create so much.
Right.
You need other
Right.
people.
Yeah. I mean, because yeah. Yeah. It's like
I'm so grateful to be on here with you, Miss Tammi.
it's like we could go, you know what? We could go so deep on this, you know, because these are conversations that need to be had, you know, because nobody's talking about it. Because people are scared to talk about it. It's almost like when we talked about the divorce thing in the church. Okay, so now you guys are getting divorced. So you know what? I can't really hang out with you because it might be catching. You know, it might be a disease that you have that's catching. You know, so I can't, you know, I'm not gonna hang out with you.
Yes.
You know, and
Or
that kind of
even
stuff happens too.
the postpartum depression. Like when I was going through the postpartum, like my friends would come over and they would talk to me and we would share and everything. But then I would start to tell them, how I was just sad for no reason. I had one friend who came over. She's like, "You're just so strong." And I'm like, "No, I'm actually suffering. Like I actually don't know what I'm doing." And it was hard for her to relate to that. So she just literally stopped calling me. She stopped texting me. She stopped coming by because it was just awkward for her to know. She even said this to me one time, and I didn't, at that time, my brain didn't click.
Yeah.
But now that I'm years later, now I understand. She said to me, she said, "Can you just let me be a friend to you?" And I was like, I didn't know what that meant at the time, but basically she was really trying her best to like bring me gifts and like spend time with me and talk to me. But I honestly was pushing her away because I didn't want her to see that I wasn't that strong. And when she said, you're really strong, like that was a facade that it was a mask.
Yeah.
I didn't, when you come to the house, I wanted to have everything clean and perfect. So nobody would, the house has to be clean.
So nobody would know you was out your game.
The baby had to be completely washed and dressed, and her hair, the little baby's hair had to be all with the edges and everything. And it's like, you know what? I had to just really think to myself, what am I doing?
Yes.
Why am I trying to act like I'm perfect and everything is so clean and nice? And she was just like, "Would you let me be a friend to you?" And she would buy me things. And I was so uncomfortable with her buying me things. I don't even know why. Today, I'm like, give me the gifts, whatever you got. Send me the money. You gonna send me the money? Send me the money.
I will take it.
Yeah, but back in the day, I was just so prideful. Like, that's what it is. Prideful, pride, ego. Pride comes before the fall.
Yep, for sure.
That's what it is. Pride comes before the fall.
And you don't even realize it. It doesn't even hit you.
And that's from spending a lot of time alone, having that baby and you're breastfeeding and you're just bonding. You get tempted to just stay in your little bubble, just you and your baby. But you really have to invite people in. Whatever stage of life you're going through, you got to invite people in to say, "Hey, I see you. I'm here. What do you need?" And if you need something, say, this is what I need. I need money. Or this is what I need. I need help. I need extra hands. I need somebody to take the diapers or get the bottles, or that's what we have to do. We have to be able to do that. And if you guys don't have anybody to trust, reach out to me, reach out to Tammi. We will plug you into a community, because we are a part of many communities, and that's how we help to keep each other sane.
Yes. Yes. And it's like, people just, I don't think we realize how much people feel and how bad they feel when they're going through these things. Because I'm like you, with my friends, saw me being vulnerable because I'm normally not. I'm usually the strong one, and I'm usually the one that says, "Okay, this is going on, so let's do this. Let's look at this solution." Because the one thing is, I just truly don't believe that if you focus on the problem, it's going to change anything.
Right.
So it's like,
you keep telling that story.
Yes. It just goes round and round and round and round. And every time you tell it, you feel smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So then once you get to that place and you realize that, and you stop telling that story, and you start framing another story, and you start creating another story, another narrative for yourself. You start saying, "Okay, no. We're not going in that direction. We're going to go here. We're going to shift."
I love that.
Yeah. And it's like, we need it. Everybody needs it, but we typically don't get it. And reason why typically is because of what you said, because we won't ask.
Yeah. And for me,
won't talk to people.
I will push people away purposely. I will be like, "Leave me alone. I'm fine. Leave me alone. I'm fine. Don't call me. Don't text me.
I'm good. Don't bother me.
I'm good.
I'm good.
I'm good. Don't worry. Don't worry."
How are you doing? I'm great. Great. I'm great.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, I'm suffering inside.
And we don't have to tell it, you don't have to tell everybody your business, y'all. You
No.
don't have to go around telling everybody I'm depressed, but you have to have one or two or three friends who know you, love you, trust you, and who are like, you know
We're
what?
not going to
I
judge you.
see you. I see you. I'm here. I'm visiting my friend. She's in love with Mexico. That's what this art is back here. She's in love with Mexico. And we've known each other since I was 11 and she was 10. And, you know, as I've been going through this divorce process, you know, she's been through a few things with some relationships. And, you know, we've been sitting down talking to each other, and she's just been like, okay, you know, if you need me, this is, you know, I'm willing to help you with this and that. And the other day, she just straight up, you know, she went with me to court. It was lunchtime. And this is the type of friend that she is. She said, okay, come on, we got a lunch. We got an hour lunch. I'm taking you out to lunch. And I was thinking to myself, well, I'm actually not hungry, because my adrenaline was pumping because of the emotional things that were happening around the divorce and the court and all this stuff. And I said, I'm not hungry. And she said, I'm taking you to lunch right now. And I was like, yes, ma'am.
Because that's what you needed.
She said, you will eat. You need nourishment. And we went out to eat, sat there and laughed and had fun. And there was a guy at the table right next to us, and he came over. He must have sensed something about my spirit that was a little down, because I was a little down. He came over to me and he put his phone in my face. And I was like, what the hell? I don't do this, dude. And he was playing Barry White. And it was a fun disco song. And he said, you know who this is? And I was like, oh. And my friend was like, that's Barry White. And he said, this is Barry White. This is the jam. And he was just being so silly and so funny. And he said, what's your name, young lady? I said, Latasha. I said, what's your name? He goes, Nick. He said, and what's your friend's name? I said her name. And he said, it's going to be a great day, ladies. It's going to be a great day. And I was like, oh my God.
Yep.
Oh my God.
God
She insisted. She pulled me into that place to go eat. I wasn't going to eat. I literally was going to wait until the end of the day to eat something or drink. I was going to drink a juice or something, because I honestly wasn't hungry. But when I got in there and I sat down and I started enjoying the quality time, the connections that we were making with each other, and then here comes this dude, just so jovial, you know, and happy with his music. I said, it's going to be a good day.
Yep.
It's already a good day.
Helped you to shift.
So small. I mean, my mom, she's one of those friends that is, get yourself together. You know, if you need that, she'll do that.
Yep. Yep.
But it was just, she insisted. She's like, nope, you don't have a choice. I was like, yes, ma'am.
That's powerful. That's powerful.
Yes, that's what I needed. I'm at a stage in a phase in my life where I am just open to receive.
Yes.
I have decided that I'm open to receive whatever the universe has for me, whatever love is coming my way, whatever friends are coming my way, you know, whatever business partner collaborations are coming my way. I am not refusing amazing opportunities. I'm not doing that anymore.
Yep, that I feel the same way. I'm actually doing the same thing. I'm like, you know what? No, I'm taking up all opportunities. You know, in times when I might have said no in the past, I'm saying yes.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Things I would have said yes to in the past, I'm saying no to, because maybe it's not, you know, the time, or maybe it's not something I should be doing at this moment. You know, really selling into divine timing, because a lot of times, you know, we think our timing is one thing, but you know, time is really an illusion anyway.
Say that.
Time is an illusion. So when you think about that, it's like, what does that even really fucking mean?
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So when you get on that space, it's like, wow. And I've really been diving into it because I've been doing so much more meditation and so much more work and so much more shadow work on myself, because I felt like, there were some things that I needed to shift in me in order to be able to do this work that I love to do, to help other people shift. And so as I've been doing this work and as I've really been going down this path, it's like how, things are shifting even when I'm not even really asking for them. But one of my affirmations is that the words that I speak shift the things that I desire, the things that I require. And I say about myself that I'm a walking prayer. Because that is what I've always desired to be, is a walking prayer. Because that's one thing that Jesus said. When you see me, you see God, right? That's what I say about myself. I said, when you see me, you see Jesus. When you see me, you see God. And so I put that out there to be that walking prayer, so that if people need, they have desires, they have wants, they have whatever, I can speak to them and I can say, hey, did you ever think about this? Did you think about that? Is this something that maybe you can shift in your mind and your perception and actually put yourself into this place? You know what I mean? And so, as we go on these journeys and this work that we are called to do, because what you're doing is what you're called to do, but there's some deeper work and some deeper things that they want you to do.
Yes.
There's deeper work for you.
I feel it. I feel it.
So,
I feel it coming.
You feel it? So you think about it, it's like, what is that song? Alicia Keys. It was going through my head. Alicia Keys.
I was thinking The Weekend. I feel it coming, baby.
Oh yeah, I like that too. I saw his concert.
Huh?
I saw his concert.
Oh,
I think
I want to go.
I want to go. It was on HBO.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he did a concert. Yeah, I think it's on might be on Paramount too. It's on some other place too, because I was looking, and I was like, I saw it. I was in the hotel. I was like, oh my God, look at The Weekend. Yeah, but I was thinking about Alicia Keys. I keep on falling
in love with you.
And I know I never loved someone way that I love
you.
I don't know why that came through my head, but
I know that was hard.
But when things show up, you be like, okay, well, what's this about?
Just do it. And this is why I love doing this collaboration with you, because you just lift me up and remind me of my purpose and remind me of why I'm here. Literally this week, man, it's been so emotional with the trial and the divorce and everything. And when you sent me the message, hey, are we still on for Friday for the interview? I thought to myself, oh, what happened? Where? When? My mind was just so scrambled up. And then my intuition said, hell yeah, you still on. You better tell her yes. And I was like, oh.
Because I was going to put a post. That's why I was asking. I was like, let me ask her before I do this. I said, because I'm not going to do this post if we not, I said, because I know how this week was for you. And I'm
Thank you. And I completely would have said, whoop, would have forgot about the whole thing. But this is good because I really, in my heart and in my soul, I really want people to think about words that you say, the things that you do
to yourself,
for yourself. And I really want people to start paying attention. Like you said, the young man was giving away his belongings. That's something that you guys can pay attention to. If somebody's giving away their belongings, you also said that.
Especially their pet belongings. Like things that they would never even let anybody else touch. That kind of stuff.
And then you also said that he said that, oh, I may not be here for that.
Yep, he did.
Right? You've got people who are throwing little baby hints at you
Yeah.
every day. You have to be receptive.
Yeah.
And please don't judge people. Please don't say things like, you sad again? You always sad. What you got to worry about? You got so much thing, you have so many things to live for. Okay, that might be true.
But
They
you don't know what's
might,
going on in between here.
it's the thoughts. Like I said, somebody might be one thought away. Okay? Because when someone's sitting in a room and they're by themselves and they're thinking and they're in here, there's a lot you have to overcome, you have to control, you have to, Bible says, hold captive those thoughts. 60,000 thoughts a day is what most people have, right?
Right.
As a person with depression, I'm going to tell you, it's probably like 80,000 thoughts a day. And I'm going to tell you, most of those thoughts are negative in my head. So when I get up every day, I have to go through an entire routine. I have a routine for everything. I have to go through a whole breathing routine. I have to go through a whole affirmations. I'm in the mirror talking to myself, telling myself how much I love myself. I'm praying. This is work.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the work.
You're walking prayer. I'm a fucking miracle.
Yes.
Because I could have taken myself out a long time ago.
Probably a few different times.
Not only have I had myself telling myself, you're nothing, you might as well let it go, this is a struggle. I've also been in the room with other people who have verbally abused me, manipulated me, disrespected me. So I've had outsiders telling me negative things about me. And so that is like throwing dirt on top of what I was already throwing on top of myself.
Right.
So when you talk about somebody walking around heavy, it's a fight, y'all. It's a daily struggle. If you're ever dealing with depression, if you know this, you get up, you have to tell yourself why you're getting up. You have to convince yourself that you have a purpose and that God still loves you. You have to, this is why we recite Bible verses. This is why I have a tattoo here. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. I have to remind myself of that every single day, because if I don't, and I let my mind run away like a freaking runaway train, it'll be a train wreck.
Yeah. And that's another part of that. It's like you have to be in control of your mind. Your mind is not supposed to control you. You have to be in control of that. And that's a whole nother live.
It's a whole nother lie. But today I think we hit the nail on the head, because I really just wanted people to stop being so judgmental. When you hear about somebody committing suicide, it's because they felt like that was the only option. They felt like that was the best solution. They felt like that was the quickest. Yes. And we know there's no quick fix. Life is about hard work, determination, tenacity. It's about living your purpose, being in alignment, and having relationships with people that serve. It's mutual. This relationship we have is mutually beneficial. Yes, absolutely. This is how, for the rest of my life, all of my relationships will be mutually beneficial. And what that means, y'all, is that you pour into your friends pour into you.
Yes. So your giving and receiving cycle is on point. Because that's another thing that contributes to depression too. Yes. Is because your giving and receiving cycle is out of balance.
Oh, out of alignment. Say that.
Out of alignment. Either you're giving too much or you're taking too much. Something is out of alignment.
Or you're not doing either one.
Right. Yes. And that would definitely be out of alignment.
You're just sitting in the room by yourself.
Sitting up in your room.
I think we done hit it. I think we done for the day. What you say?
Because I could take a nap right now.
Yes, me too.
I was just thinking that. I was like, oh, I might take a nap and then I'll get up and work later.
Yeah, we did it. We did it. I have a call. I got another call right now,
Because
but
this was great and heavy.
yeah.
I love you. Thank y'all for watching.
Mm,
Whoever has watched, thank you. Y'all catching the replay. Make sure you hit hashtag replay and let us know where you're watching from, because that is always interesting to me to see where people are watching from all over the planet. So Latasha and I,
definitely.
we've done this thing. It's been a mess. A mess. It has been a mess, but it's been amazing. And we'll be back on again next Friday. We'll do it again. Same bat time, same bat station.
Yes.
Um, so you guys enjoy the rest of your day, your weekend, whatever it
Yes.
is. Tasha, you got any final words?
Whew, if y'all need a tribe, you need a community, you need a space, a safe space where you can just be your damn self. Connect with Tammi, connect with me. I'm all over. You can literally Google my name. You'll
Me
find me
too.
somewhere.
Me too. You'll find something somewhere that I've done.
You'll find us. We're all over the internet. Get in touch with us. Go to Facebook. I've got 2 Facebook communities. Let me mention this because I always forget.
You
Your
go.
First Book Club. That's one place. That's for people who don't have who are just wondering, like, how do I get my first book done? And then there's another one. Your Next Book Club is for people that already have a book. Now they're working on the next book. Those are 2 places where you can go. And then I have a third Facebook group, which is self-healing through writing, because writing is the vehicle that I use to heal myself and to help other people heal themselves. And so that's all, folks.
All right. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I do the same thing. I always
Mhm.
forget to mention my group. It's called Heal Her. And it really is just a place for women to be able to come and get some healing. I have all kinds of different things in that group, some healings, trainings. Going to try to get a little bit more active in there because I really haven't been.
Mhm.
But that's something that I had envisioned to help women. And I also have a meetup. If you like meetup, I
Oh
have a meetup,
yeah.
Sister Circle Immersion Experience. That's the name of it. And it's on Meetup. So if you want that, reach out to me. I can drop you the link, or you can just go on Meetup and find it. Sister Circle Immersion Experience is what it is. And so that's another place that I want to do like virtual circles and stuff, because I'm doing them in person now. So I've been wanting to do some
Yes.
virtual ones as well. So I'm gonna start ramping that up as well. So you can follow me there. And also TikTok, if you want a lot of healing training things that I've been doing, a lot of healing, especially short, like the 1 minute healing videos and stuff are on there. Also, you can follow me on YouTube. I would love it if you would follow me on my YouTube
Yeah.
channel, and it is Tammi Morrison.
Yes.
So we appreciate all of you, and we thank you for watching. We hope that there was some nuggets that you could pull out of this conversation, because it was amazing conversation. I can't wait to watch it again.
Yeah. Oh
But
yeah, I'm
it's
gonna watch it
awesome.
4 times.
I was
Like we
gonna
did
say,
last time.
I'm gonna go ahead and try to get it uploaded so it's on the podcast and on the YouTube channel too. But I think I forgot to record. I think I don't see the record thing.
Oh wow. It says live. It says
Yeah,
live
live
over
on
here.
Facebook. I have to download it from Facebook. That's what I'm gonna do. All right. Have a
Oh
wonderful rest of
well.
your day.
Bye everybody. We love you.
Bye. Love you. We'll see y'all next week. Guess that's it.